answer some of your questions on flying with newborns. So if you're here today, maybe it's because you're pregnant or you just had a baby and you're trying to figure out how to get started with traveling and what is that you need to look for. So I'm going to go over a few questions that we have had throughout these years on flying with newborns, and hopefully that will answer some of your questions as well. So let's get started. First, what are the airline policies on flying with newborns? So this is, there's no one answer to this question because all airlines have different policies, but the general rule on flying with newborns is after 7 days to 14 days, depending on the airline. You have to check with the airline you are flying with. We would always recommend you to just have a look at their website and their policies and see what is their restriction, what are their rules. But next, how old should your newborn baby be before you actually start traveling? So again, there's no right or wrong here, but based on doctors' recommendations, they say after 14 days or after the vaccinations are done, the first few vaccinations. And this is all depending on you really and the airline's policy, I suppose. It's when you feel comfortable to flying with your baby. So I, for instance, the first time I flew with my baby, he was already 3 months old. So it did take time. Also during COVID times, so you know, it was, we were not really allowed to travel anyway. So, but I don't know if I would go earlier anyway, but there are other things to consider before you actually take a flight that you need to get done as well, like the passport or get baby registered and stuff. So it does take time, but again, if you get this done quickly, it's up to you when you can start traveling. The earlier you start, the better really, and also it's easier when they're really young because they sleep a lot. So just as an extra tip. Okay, so this brings us up to the next question. So what documentation do you need to fly with your baby? So depending on where you're from, so if you are from US and you live in the US, you can fly within the US with just the birth certificate. So when you're booking your flight, you'll have to add on your baby and you'll have to bring the birth certificate with you when you're flying. And if you want to fly internationally, you will always need a passport. No matter where you are, if you're flying internationally, you'll need a passport. And if you live in the EU, UK, you will have to have an ID card or the passport to fly. So if you fly within the EU, you'll just need your ID card. But if you go internationally, again, you'll have to have the passport. So again, to get these things done, it takes time. So some countries it is very easy for us. Our baby was born in UK, so it took us 1 week to get his passport done. So he was born in December. By January, we already had his passport done. So it can take some time in some places, so I do recommend you to have a look at that. So how to get your baby comfortable in the airplane. So as I said before, when they're really young, up to the 6-month period, they do tend to sleep a lot. So when you're in the airplane, the movement and the white noise from the airplane actually gets them to sleep. So that was one of the things that I probably worried the most, is how am I gonna get this baby to sleep in the flight? And then he was so young that we hadn't even taken off and he was already asleep. But there's a few ways. So you can fly with your car seat. So check with your airline, check that your car seat is allowed, but you'll have to purchase a seat for this. So make sure you check this in advance. So you can get them in the car seat and just fly with them sat in the car seat. Or you can have them as a lap infant, which is how I travel most of the time, and I just hold them on my arms. And I brought some, I would bring blanket to make him comfortable, or a little cloth, you know, so I would always bring things to make him feel comfortable, things that smell like home, you know, little comfort things. If you're looking into what travel accessories you need for flying with your baby, we always recommend you a stroller. Definitely that's number one that you always should have with you. You should get a travel stroller. We will link the one we actually currently are recommending that is absolutely amazing to travel, easy to fold. It's got everything. We'll link link it below, and we also have a discount, so if you just use our code. But yeah, stroller is definitely a must when you are traveling with a baby, because it's where they're going to sleep. So you kind of need to consider what you're taking. Obviously, if you already have a stroller, just take your stroller. Don't think of getting a new one just because you're traveling, unless you're actually going to travel more, which was our case. We had a big bulky stroller, but then once we started traveling more, it was harder for us to just carry this bulky thing. So we decided to switch to a travel stroller, which we love. But yeah, so you need to consider what also you need to put into it. So what are you looking for in a stroller? So you need to think, is it good for all terrains? Is it good for, does it have a rain cover? Does it recline for my baby to sleep? Does it have a good sun cover? You know, all of these things are very important, especially on traveling, because you can find all types of climates. So these are some things to consider. Then we also recommend a carrier, because that's the best way if you when you are boarding to carry your newborn. So also some places that you might go to, you can't take the stroller, so you have the carrier. Is also a really good place for them to sleep. So you know, that's our number two number two. That's the other go-to gear that we go to when we are flying with our babies. The carrier is also very good for the flight. So if your newborn is being a bit fussy and you already taken off and the seatbelt sign is turned off and everything, you can just grab your baby, put them on the carrier, and just walk up and down the aisle, and that actually suits them a bit. So it can help you during the flight as well. Other things you need to consider that I'm just going to go over very quickly is the car seat. Are you taking the car seat with you? Do you need it at the destination? Do you need a playpen so for them to sleep in at the destination? Do you have one there? How are you going to sleep? Have you thought about it? You know, all of these things. So if you are staying at a hotel, generally speaking, they do have some, but obviously you need to check this ahead of time. So make sure you look into it. But yeah, but you can always bring it with you. Most of the airlines allow you to carry two gear items per baby. So like a stroller and the car seat, or a stroller and the playpen. You know, most of the airlines allow you to take them for free. So if it's a very low budget airline, they might charge you. So this takes us to the rules on taking car seats and car strollers on flight. So as I said, majority of the airlines allow you to bring two items for free. So this is the car seat and the stroller, and what I mean for free is you can check them in for free, so you don't have to pay extra for these. Obviously, if you do bring more, you will have to pay extra. But with every child, you're allowed to bring two items, so keep that in mind. If you do need to bring it and you're not sure because you don't know if you have to pay, you are allowed to, but you need to take them to the check-in desk. So even if you don't have any other suitcases, and if you're checked in online, you still need to go to the check-in to get the special tag for the stroller or the car seat. Some airlines do allow you to bring it all the way with you to the gate and then give you a ticket there, but not all airlines. So do make sure you check with your airline beforehand, so you don't get to the gate and then they send you back because you can't actually take it with you. So make sure you do check this in hand. And for US travelers, you are allowed to take the car seat on all flights as long as it's FAA approved. You just need to find a little label that on your car seat, it generally is on the side that says that is fit for flying. Some airlines in Europe and other countries do allow it as well, but you will have to double check with the airlines because it's still a new thing and it's still not allowed in most airlines or most airplanes. I want to add that we have our course on flying with babies and toddlers, the Ready to Fly Mom, and it's got all of the regulation on majority of the major airlines in US, Europe and UK, and we have all the regulations on the car seats and the traveling and with babies and everything you will need to know is on the course. So if you do want any further help, you can check it out. How can you help with the air pressure for your newborn baby? The best way is feeding them. So if you're breastfeed during takeoff and landing, or if you're bottle feeding, the same, the dummy as well, drinking water, anything. Or if they are eating, they are moving their jaw, doing the sucking movement, and that will help with the air pressure. And also it's the best way to get them to sleep. You just start feeding them during takeoff and they will be asleep for the whole flight. So another thing that we actually only found out after our first flight with our baby is that you are allowed to bring baby milk and formula and pump milk and all of this for security without restriction on the liquids. So if you need baby formula for your baby, or if you're bringing along with you milk, you are allowed to bring that with you. There are some restrictions on some airports on the limit, but the limit is quite high, so it's about like 2 liters, the maximum on some airports. So yeah, so you are allowed to bring the milk with you without having to worry about is anyone going to touch it or anything. Same applies to water and stuff. If you have a baby, generally speaking, they will allow you to bring any food and snacks and stuff for the baby. We also have actually a video on how to fly with baby formula, which I'm gonna link it below so you guys can have a look at it. It has all the tips that you need if you're flying with baby formula or milk and everything, so I will link below so you guys have a look. And lastly, how can you keep your baby safe during the flight? So it's important to keep hydrated. So if you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, just make sure you do it regularly. And again, if you are doing a small flight, the most likely will sleep through it and you don't have to worry about it. But obviously it's something that you will feel anxious. I remember I was so anxious the first flight. I didn't understand why until I was way into the flight. It was because it was my first flight with my new baby, you know, it was a scary thought. So yeah, you just make sure that they are fed, they are in a safe position, and that you are, or if you're holding them or if they're in a car seat, make sure everything is all tight and safe. So yeah, so we hope these were helpful. And if you have any other questions, please do ask them below. I have also added a few extra links to the description for our, we have our workshop on getting babies to sleep, where we basically give you our 3-step proven formula that gets babies sleeping on every flight guaranteed. We have many moms that have used this and swear by it, and we have used it on almost every flight, so we swear by it. So I will link it below. We also have a planning challenge that basically helps you plan your first family trip, or you know, if the first one didn't work out as well, we help you get your head in the game. It's a 5-day challenge, and each day we tackle a topic that you need to plan for your trip or you need to think about, and things that basically we overlook that once we are actually on the trip, it's what stresses us and it's what makes us not enjoy going on trips with our kids because we are not ahead of the game. So it's a really good challenge, and we are so excited to share this with you, and we hope if you are struggling with getting the plan for your family trip, we definitely recommend you to join us. And of course, the Ready to Fly Mom, which is our flying course, has got everything that you need to know, from planning to the airport to flying, all the regulations, all the rules, all based on US and Europe and UK. And it's everything that you need if you want to start flying with your kids. So, and to end on a positive note, I just wanted to congratulate you if you are pregnant or if you just had a baby, and I hope this video helped. We have more videos here on our channel all about flying with kids, so if you need any more help on anything else, just have a look. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this, and thank you so much. Bye!